Hello and welcome to Eastern Marshlands, an evening with comrades, where tonight we are having a Catalonia independence party. With us this
Yeah.
evening is Spoogs and shit.
What up? Stoner did nothing wrong. And if you disagree with me, I'm coming to your house, Bucko. I'm coming.
We also have with us Goulash Guy,
Howdy do, kids.
Positist Pac-Man.
Yo, it's Positive Pac-Man. I'm what happens when the whales nuke back.
We have also with us Bob.
Viva la revolución! A las barricadas!
And I will be your host this evening, TK Jones, and we may be joined by Batco. You never know. He's kind of an apparition. He is the shit poster that haunts all live streams.
He's a fucking spook. Get him.
So, my comrades, how are we all?
Who wants to go first?
Sounds like you do, bud.
Oh, I want to go first.
Well, then go first.
damn it. Oh, I can wait.
All right, Goulash.
All right.
First.
Ooh. Ooh.
Goulash,
Did his internet die?
I
Did
think
Nikki forget to build that battery?
I think his internet just
I think
died.
his internet just cut out for like
At the start of this,
I was so upset. I was like,
We have-
why is it so quiet? Why isn't anyone talking? It's Elon Musk, build that battery. If this happens again, if it does happen again, I do apologize. But on that note, I've been doing a bit of editing with the help of with the friendly advice of Spooks over here. I've been doing some art. Apart from that, nothing too special.
understandable.
oh man.
So yeah, I've just been looking for work myself, and I am trying to organize a meetup with fellow comrades in my hometown. And already the reactionary pieces of shit are like the event page and posting crap on it already.
God damn it.
But it's like, you know how people say the right can't meme either? Well, these people are evidence to that idea.
Bottom text.
I mean, XD.
Absolutely terrible. But yes, comrades, we are here tonight to celebrate Catalan independence. The vote happened. It happened. Oh, when did it happen? Actually, I can't remember.
It
was a couple
happened,
of days
and then
ago.
it happened, and then it kind of got like fucked in the ass by the Spanish government. It's already over.
Yeah.
It's already over.
Yeah, well, I don't sort of. I mean, as I said, I'm the walking, talking meme. I don't think it's over until we make it over. But in all seriousness, well, there's got to be something we can do. I don't think this is the end of the story by any stretch. I think the Catalonians are actually going to make a stand on this one. At least they should.
Well, yeah, the
Depends how
I think
far they want to go.
I think the regional leader or something was saying that he wanted to encourage everyone to have peaceful resistance. And I spoke about it on the podcast with Eugene as well, that there's like hundreds of thousands of civil servants that are refusing orders coming from Madrid. So already they're trying to exert their own independence by saying, no, none of that. Fuck off, Spain.
That said, though, I mean, while like that definitely is a good thing, I don't think that will result in any lasting change that was any different than the status quo before. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, there's only so much peaceful resistance that can be carried out, I guess, against things like that until basically, they do the same thing Western powers has always done, just crush any dissent possible.
Yeah, Spain's going to call in the army. If it goes any further, Spain will call in the army. I don't think there's any real doubt on that. It just depends how far they can push it.
Yeah.
The EU's pretty much consensus has reached consensus condemning Catalonia, saying that the results are invalid and your independence is full of shit. You have no claim. And I'm thinking, Yeah, fuck yeah. Like you refuse to allow Catalonia to exist, right? Yet fucking Liechtenstein is a thing. Okay, I don't
And
fucking care.
Yeah.
Liechtenstein
and the
should not
UK
be a
can
thing.
just like, and the UK can just like leave and come and go whenever it pleases.
I like zoned out a little bit there for a second, and all I heard was in an angry tone of voice, "But Liechtenstein is allowed to exist." I thought, what? This is a very personal vendetta you've got against the noble country of Liechtenstein.
Is that where
I'll
the
have you
British
know
went
that
first?
Liechtenstein is bouge as fuck, and you should feel bad for defending them.
No, seriously.
It's
Seriously.
like not Andorra.
Fucking
What is
first
it?
world is
Monaco.
scum.
It's getting a bit heated tonight.
There's only two things. There's only two fucking things that Liechtenstein is good at doing: being a tax haven and making false teeth. Like seriously.
False teeth.
I remember before we
false teeth.
while we're on the subject of false teeth, might just go back to the go back to Catalonia. I remember that like there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of different sort of that did sound weird as a transition, but there's obviously a lot of different political ideologies on either side or whatnot, and you'll get a lot of you'll even have like some communists like not necessarily MLs or armchairs or whatnot, but like people with like indescript ideologies, and some of them will be like, oh no, it's not 100% communist, so we shouldn't support it. I don't know if you've been seeing like a lot of footage of marches in Spain, but there are Roman salutes going out there. There are swastikas. There's pictures of Franco. Like, I don't understand how you can be a leftist and not to at least any slight degree support this. Like, it's really ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, you can obviously see the Spanish nationalists. They are being Francoists. Let's be frank. They are Francoists.
Get out.
Yeah, I'll show myself. No, but in all seriousness, it's like you see it, and leftists are like, oh, it's not a proper revolution because it's not fully communist. Well, I said the same thing about that thing in Ukraine wanting to join the EU. Now, I know it was bullshit and bourgeois and stuff, but if you look at the protest footage, you see ANCOMs amongst the Ukrainian mob advancing on their parliament. You see it. Like, sometimes we don't need. It doesn't necessarily have to be a political move that's completely pure. Any chance to break the state's authority, no matter for what end, unless accepting fascism, I think is something that the left should support, mainly to undermine the control of the bourgeois state.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when you start talking about a platform of like anyone at the bottom of the political compass should rebel against anyone at the top, because then you start getting ANCAPs thinking that they're a legitimate thing, and we can join in too.
Yeah, well, you see,
God.
ANCAPs are just.
ANCAPs can have their own personal society. Like, ANCAPs can have their own capitalist society. It just needs to be in the gulag, away from the rest of us.
Oh, I am going to roll my tank over their tent.
See, that's the thing. In ANCAP gulags, what they get is they get toothbrushes for everyone there, but only one person gets them, and they have to distribute them fairly.
No, it's trickle down. It's trickle down theory.
Trickle down toothbrushes.
I'll just give someone one toothbrushes and hope to God they share it.
Well,
trickle down toothbrushes.
I mean, this is all.
You ever done a
really
trickle
good
down Halloween?
Oh yeah, that's right. Where you give one kid all the candy, and then he's supposed to sort of get the others to work for them. I've heard of that theory.
I think, I think what you were saying, Pac-Man, was interesting with the big protests that were happening in Ukraine. It was the far right and the far right sector and the far left teaming up to get rid of I forget his name, but the current Ukrainian Ukrainian
Yeah,
government.
he was a Russian puppet. Now the thing that got me was the fact that how violently they were put down by the Ukrainian police. Like you think that we're not going to lessen the United States situation and Catalonia situation because that's bad, but the fucking Ukrainians had like this group called the Berkut, which literally was like an armed hit squad, and they recruited neo-Nazis as ancillary units. Like not even.
Yeah, no, they had snipers on the roofs. They were shooting civilians out of hotels. I remember watching that. I was actually watching that early in the morning as it was all going down.
Yeah, I was watching too, and I saw some of our comrades out there, and at first that was my reaction. Like, why are we supporting this? And then I saw what it was about. Like, it gave me sort of this opinion that while leftism should take the core of the movement, that's not in debate by anyone on this stream, I don't think, ever. I think we should follow Babe Rosa in what she says, is that, the working class is a giant nebulous mass that is going to have a bunch of conflicting opinions. So reformism isn't exactly a bad idea. It's just that we need to have a strong revolutionary vanguard principle to protect the reformist gains that we get. So even if the leftists aren't a majority in the movement, we need to have our seat at the table and we need to vigorously defend it. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, every mass movement, no matter what kind of bent it is, if it's political, unless it's, obviously a Nazi movement or a right-wing movement like hard right, even centrist movements, the leftists should at least have a seat at the conference table. Like, we should be a party that's there and visible if we're ever going to have any success.
So you're saying
like
to try and influence them, like
Yeah.
give that little push towards the left.
Yeah, and like literally, the only way the left is going to get bigger is if we recruit centrists and liberals. This is the only way we're going to get bigger. And as much as it pisses me off to say it, we have to make some allowances to their point of view as well. We have to meet them at the table and discuss. We can't just follow the old Stalinist principle of taking them all out and shooting them, which I wouldn't be opposed to as such. But Gulag the Kulaks 2.0, get on my tank, let's do this. But in all seriousness, no. What basically my angle is, like with Catalonia and with Ukraine and all these other mass movements that aren't necessarily leftist, I think we should follow Papi Lenin's example and make it about leftism. We need to show them the core root of this problem is the capitalist system, and we need to take it to them and take it hard.
Well, in some of the footage you can see of Catalonians celebrating in the streets, probably before the riot cops came in and moved them along. You can see socialist Catalonian flags, which is just the red and yellow.
Oh,
the stripes and the star on the left.
That's actually something worth mentioning. That was something that like really kind of shocked me. Just from like I guess from someone that comes from more of a libertarian socialist background. I'll just leave it at that. But like, you hear all this stuff about it being a bourgeois revolution. Well, if it's a bourgeois revolution, why are people out there waving the flags of revolutionary Catalonia? Why are people out there, singing a las barricadas? Why are people like, why did the Socialist Party in Spain endorse their secession? It almost seems like a distinct, not necessarily a lack of awareness, because I think that's the wrong way to put it, but it just seems to be a conflation of two very separate reasons, almost kind of going off of what Comrade Pac-Man was saying. It almost seems like a conflation of a very complex and diverse movement that has been definitely oversimplified and I don't want to say disregarded by the media and our sources, but definitely every side that's covered it has not looked at the whole picture.
So this revolutionary socialist element is there. It's just we haven't seen it yet.
Well, it's always been there. It's always been there. The big thing is it's almost like it's being erased.
Well, I think that Comrade Bob here has got a good point, in the sense that when you look at the Russian Revolution, you see Lenin and Stalin and Trotsky, all sort of, rolling around doing their thing. But when you look at the actual makeup of the entirety of the Russian Revolution, you've got the Mensheviks, you've got the Free State of Ukraine, you've got the Kronstadt Rebellion, you've got all these guys,
The Greens,
Oh yeah, I suppose there is
the
that.
peasants, the peasant armies that were opposed to everyone.
Yeah, there's all different branches in a revolution, and it all comes down to who comes out on top at the end. Sorry, that's my phone. I'm not answering it because I'm doing something. But it's sort of like, how to put this. Well, you see, I think that it comes down to the fact that leftists as a whole need to stop being so bloody picky. We can't always, call me a filthy opportunist if you want, but we can't always dictate the flow of events. We have to leftists have to adapt to the situation. Right now, we're living under a capitalist society. This is not going to change until we have a mass leftist movement. Now, mass leftist movements only get organized when we have a lot of pissed off working class people. And right now, they're not pissed off about capitalism. They're pissed off about nationalism. They're pissed off about not having their own bloody country. Fine, that's a point. But why don't they have their own country? Simple. Fascists and capitalist interests. Now, that's something we can turn to our advantage. It's just that we need to raise that class consciousness. Hashtag don't stop. Hashtag Viva la Revolution. But yeah, you get what I mean. I'm ranting, sorry.
So would you say there are people who think the same way you are, and they're trying to get socialism to the forefront? Would you say maybe that the more, dare I say it, pacifistic people are in charge of trying to get Catalonia independent?
Yeah, but I think that's more of a political move on their part, because no one likes coming out in public in a liberal democracy and asking for violence. It never goes down well in PR. But I think it's more a case of they don't really have much of a choice, because like most of the EU, including us in Australia as a separate entity and all over the world, the United States is the only place with ready access to arms. Everywhere else pretty much has only got one choice, and that is to protest by peaceful means. We saw it in Ukraine. Like, they pushed it as far as they could, but eventually they sent in the fucking army and were gunned down. If anyone has any doubts about political force flowing out the barrel of a gun, I don't think the modern revolutions of the 21st century should jar them out of that viewpoint.
When you say the Ukrainians sent in the army, do you mean in 2014 with the Donetsk people?
Yeah, but not just that. I'm talking about when the referendum to join the EU went through and when failed to read through, and they had a change of government. People were protesting because they wanted to join the EU because the Russian economy was collapsing at the time, as you know.
The material conditions were right to join the EU.
Exactly. It was in their best interests, or so they felt.
It's a dialectical choice.
Well, more to the point, it was that the EU has regulations and stuff on education standards, and so that by being a member of the EU, they could cross state lines and basically emigrate to France and shit to get education and healthcare that they just couldn't get in Ukraine. Which is fair enough, I think, but it shows again that the people wanted this sort of the social democratic sort of thing that France has got going on. They wanted healthcare and education for their children. They wanted affordable housing and food. They needed these things, and the government was exerting control over them to prevent them from getting it. Now,
Well,
sorry.
Well, what's what the whole the Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic, after they cropped up after the Kiev riots and whatnot. What do you guys think of what they're trying to do? Because we know Catalonia could turn to socialism, but it's very clear that Donetsk and Luhansk are actually trying to reestablish like hardline socialism.
I would almost disagree with that assertion. The reasons for the, I guess, revolution, rebellion, whatever you want to call it, in Donetsk and Lugansk, they're definitely not just socialist motivations.
They're
And
tankies.
I don't. Yeah, sorry.
They're pretty much tankies if you look at what they sort of. They're old Soviet style communists. They really.
I almost even disagree with that. Just looking at, I guess, the motivations and where they've been receiving assistance from, who they've been, who really not necessarily is behind the movement, but I guess who arms them and what the complex motivations for leaving Ukraine were. A lot of it had to do with Russian nationalism. A lot of it had to do with the material conditions of that area. I don't think it's fair to assess it as just a purely socialist movement, especially when you have a reactionary party arming them. And
Well,
So
reading their manifesto here, it's sort of. I'll be honest. I think you're right there, but I'm reading their manifesto and looking at their page and having a flick through it. I mean, as I said, I think I was wrong. They aren't old Soviet communists. I think, quite frankly, they're Nazbols. Pretty
oh
much.
dear.
Jesus Christ.
No, they actually are. Like, they want to annex themselves back into Russia as a people's Soviet. So they're Nazbols. They're Russian nationalists with socialist characteristics. So they're Nazbols.
I don't know if they're aware of this, but the USSR doesn't exist anymore.
Stop ruining my dream, okay? I
Hey,
can
don't-
believe.
Don't say that too loudly, or Transnistria will hear you.
leave Transnistria alone. They're all that remains.
Transnistria is one of those. I suppose it's not technically like internationally recognized as independent, but it's one of those areas that just every time I think about it, I just sort of like everything else just sort of blacks out. And you know, in movies where literally there's like a big light on the protagonist and everything else is just black, and then there's like really spooky music. It's kind of like that, and I just think to myself, like, how did that happen?
Well, I mean, you look at what happened when the Soviet Union dissolved. It's like half the bloody thing wanted to stay. They wanted to keep the Soviet Union intact.
It was more than half. It was close to 70%, I believe.
Yeah, roughly that. But the only problem was, like, you know, everybody was on the independence hype train, which now is turning full circle and coming to bite the capitalists in the arse, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it.
That's kind of it's interesting you say that they were on the independence hype train. I don't really think that they were. At least I don't think the majority was. I think it was a lot of people predominantly in cities such as St. Petersburg and Moscow that had managed to finagle their way through organized crime, a lot of power and influence and money. And that was really what drove the nail into the coffin, was the, I guess, sheer amount of wealth that so few individuals had developed through organized crime. These same people are now oligarchs. These same people are now the people that propped up Yeltsin, that now prop up Putin. It's the same group, you know. Yeah. I don't want to get too much into detail there because of my own.
Listening.
Sorry.
Putin is listening.
Yeah,
He is
well,
always-
not necessarily that.
I'd like to believe that the FSB is listening to this podcast.
It'd be fucking
mean-
great, wouldn't it?
Honestly, all right,
Hi,
Mr.
guys.
Mr. Putin, if you're listening, we know that there's still a comrade in there somewhere.
Come back to
It
us.
can be
Come back to us.
redeemed.
Don't let out your inner comrade. Come on, you can do
Doesn't
uh,
it.
have to be this way.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Where's that KGB
Please.
man we know and love, Putin? Just
You
let him
were the
come
chosen one.
back.
You were meant to bring balance to the republics, not crush them. Lead us into
Let's help
socialism,
the
not bury us
Chechens,
in
not bomb them.
darkness.
Oh boy, Spooge, you've got audio issues again. You sound like a
Yes.
robotic Max Sterner now.
Hold on.
It's okay.
Wait,
you have
he's
become
accelerated ahead
the
of us.
Sterninator.
I'd like to see a robotic Max Sterner, to be honest.
No, he's fucking
It's
fully
like,
automated.
it's like the final boss in the original Wolfenstein games, where instead of Mecha Hitler, it's like a Mecha Spook.
Oh, dude,
You have to
Mecha
fight
Sterner?
a robot ghost.
dude, Wolfenstein is the fucking shit this year. I've been
Oh,
shooting
mwah.
Nazis all
Have you
week.
seen the advertisement campaign for Wolfenstein?
Make American
Dude.
Nazi free again. Fuck.
It's fucking
Yeah.
savage, dude. No, you don't understand. You don't know. You literally have no clue how many American Nazis the like promotional campaign is pissed off.
Oh, the
Like-
tears are just beautiful.
Oh
I
my
remember
god.
seeing.
Think
It
of the
was the
Nazis'
vo-
feelings, guys. Come on.
I remember it was the like. I don't really care about Vice. They're not too great. They've gone downhill.
Oh,
Well, that's the
God,
end of
there
that.
he goes
then.
again.
You're right.
build that
Build
battery.
Build the damn battery.
Oh God, Spooks, you're still
The audio's still.
you're still
out.
fully automated communism
I'm
right now.
I'm gonna have to unplug everything.
Elon Musk is gonna build the fucking battery.
So yeah, so in Australia, what we've seen of the Wolfenstein advertisement so far has been, I know I saw them, advertising and whatnot, and then yeah, as Gulas was saying, Vice News was reporting to us that Nazis were getting pissed off, and I think after that, Bethesda put out that like short, like 10-second clip of like,
Yep.
if
Yep,
you're a
yep, yep.
Nazi, and then it was the shot of him of the main protagonist punching a Nazi. It says "Get the fuck out." I'm like, man, that's cool. I wonder if that's going to have any impact. But then,
I remember-
It did. They're pissed.
Oh, I was just going to say, first of all, before I cut out, I told the entire story, so I assume you just explained that, but like it was just. I remember reading the comments, and there was just so many people who were so mad. It's like when did punching Nazis become a controversial opinion?
I don't know.
When
Like
Quentin Tarantino.
obviously, the dialectic answer would be that it was a sort of a build-up of like the marketplace of ideas. We should listen to everyone, and that sort of gave them a place to have their voices heard. And as a sort of we're being tolerant towards everyone, so we can hear everyone. Everyone gets an equal shout. That we've allowed them to have a platform. But I want to know the exact date that someone was like, no, from this day forward, killing Nazis is frowned upon.
Look,
Honestly,
I actually.
it was
Go ahead.
probably January 20th. It was probably the day Trump got elected and Richard Spencer got decked. Because a pretty white boy shouldn't get punched. Come on, guys. You know that's not okay.
Guys,
Guys,
violence is bad.
controversial opinion, hot take, guys. I've got a hot take.
oh god, a
I just-
Hot take
steaming
incoming.
hot take incoming. Here we
I've got
go.
a steaming fucking hot take. You ready? I want the Nazis to have a platform. Why?
Get
Because
you're banned.
my
That's it.
version. No,
Banned.
you didn't let me finish it. I want the Nazis
Okay,
to have
go
a
ahead, sorry.
platform. Except my platform has a door in it, and I've got a fucking handle,
Ooh.
and they
Okay.
have got a rope around their fucking neck.
Oh,
Every
this is a hot
last
take.
fucking
You know,
one. I
I
don't
think-
care.
I think that the leftist movement should, help dismantle the free market of ideas and replace it with the gulag of ideas. It's
Yeah,
basically
well,
the
yeah.
same thing, except any discussion points that have been deemed really shitty. Simple.
Yeah, True.
I was
but
thinking the
he's-
guillotine of ideology, but okay.
Oh, that's spicy.
Whoa.
Take.
Make Robespierre happy again.
No, seriously, guys. I know this sounds like a bit like this is my libertarian socialist coming out here, but it's more like you guys have you guys watched Crash Course World History? You guys have seen Crash Course World History, yeah?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they've got that
Tom Green
joke,
is
how they've got that joke, like that joke which is the Mongols are the exception.
Yes.
In my view, leftist ideology and leftist discussion should be around libertarian socialists at least. Nazis are the exception. So you're like, all right, well, hear these out. You can have an acceptable opinion unless you are, wait for it, a Nazi. Bang!
And
Drop
then
dead.
marching Wehrmacht and SS soldiers screaming, "We are the exception!" as they march off a cliff to their death.
Exactly. They get
So much for the tolerant left.
I remember. I remember
I wanted to,
when
I wanted
I-
to have that in Wolfenstein.
Sorry,
Like
go
spray
on.
painted on the wall. So much for the tolerant
Oh.
left.
I was just gonna say, going back to Wolfenstein 2, I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast. I can't even remember what we talked about last time. All I remember was Australian politics. But I might have told this before, might not have. But I think some of the people here haven't heard this. But when I was a little bit younger, one of the games that I really wanted was the Saboteur, where you play as like an Irishman and you do like sort of guerrilla fighting in Nazi-occupied France. And I remember I was like too young to buy it, so I was like, "Mum, can you buy this for me?" We were in like EB Games, and the front of the cover was like MA. It was high sexual references because there's strip clubs and whatnot. So it was like nudity, sexual references, language that's
What
very
game is
coarse.
this again?
The Saboteur.
Great fucking game.
And it was like coarse language and strong violence. And I was like, this is what I want. And my mother wasn't too concerned about the coarse language or the sex. She was worried about the violence. And so she takes it to the counter and she's like, okay, so I'm not too worried about the sex or the shouting and the language, but what sort of violence are we talking about? And the guy at the counter was really chill. I remember this. He was like, well, it's not even that violent. It's mostly like the blood splatters are pretty cartoonish. It's like Looney Tunes. And also they're Nazis, so it's okay. And then my mother was like, oh, yeah, all right. And then we got it. And then we bought it.
No, but it's true, though, because that game was actually the best. Like, it was
great. I loved
It
it.
was Grand Theft Auto, but you're in the French Resistance. And, like, you go around shooting Nazis and liberating different areas of Paris. And then the rest of the game was like, drive-bys, car chases, stealing secret weapons
Assassinate
technology.
Nazi SS officers. It was really cool.
Yeah, and it was like GTA and Assassin's Creed where it had no restrictions. So you could do it do the whole Medal of Honor or fucking Call of Duty thing where you would sneak around and do all this sort of cool shit. Or you can do what I did and drive your fucking 1938 Austin off a fucking bridge and crash land it on top of the Nazi while he's giving his speech, jump out, machine gun every Nazi in the crowd, and then just run and parkour the Eiffel Tower to get away.
When you see GTA, I'm suddenly imagining like the Grove Street gang in a Volkswagen Beetle pulling up somewhere. It's like, welcome to the Parisian cafe. Can I take your order? It's like, I will have a two number nines, a number 9 large, a number 6 extra croissant.
At French audience, I apologize.
I do apologize myself.
We are butchering.
CJ, follow that Panzer.
All you had to do was follow the damn Panzer, CJ.
Fuck, we are butchering that. We are butchering that. No, but like,
I did 3 years of French. I feel so terrible that this is what it's dissolved into.
I think
Oui,
I
oui.
think I may have single-handedly divided the left in France. We can no longer count on them. Because of my action.
Don't worry, man.
The
Hot
French
take,
socialists.
Robespierre did nothing wrong. Robespierre did nothing wrong.
Pixelgrad already divided the French and left.
Oh, I remember
Yeah.
Pixelgrad. I did my time.
Hey, didn't we sort of come together? We worked as an alliance for a while with them, but then they turned on us because they thought we were filthy commies.
Ooh, they are
well,
commies.
I mean,
Oh, we are filthy
Top
commies,
10
but-
anime betrayals.
Ah, we've been spotted.
Shit!
Like,
No.
who would have guessed? As I stare at a massive
Hmm.
hammer and
I
sickle
wonder.
an anarchist A and O.
Yeah, no, seriously. I posted this in Leftbook the other day, but it was kind of like weird playing through all the Fallouts again. And, you know, playing Fallout New Vegas and going and doing the Old World Blues DLC. And it's just like, you know, all full of 50s propaganda. And it's just like, don't you try and propagandize me, you commie lobotomite. And I'm like, oh, fuck, guys, they're onto me. They've worked me out. Shit, gotta get away. I'm gonna leave now.
We found out.
They found out. No, but like, I was actually taking a poke around in the Fallout community on Facebook. And oh my god, those reactionary motherfuckers. Like,
A lot of
seriously.
them do drink the McCarthyist Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Yeah, dude, no.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I went onto a Fallout page today. I won't give its name, but I'm pretty sure we all know what it is. And someone had posted, like, you know, as part of the equality movement in Australia, someone had posted them wearing a Vault suit, you know, with the LGBT pride flag. And like it had something like, you know, just under 1,000 angry reacts and like, get out of here with this gay shit, you filthy fag, and shit like this. And I'm sort of like, hold on a minute. You're fans of a video game. What kind of reactionary bullshit is this? I mean, I'm not one to sort of get on the whole Gamergate kind of thing because I'm a gamer myself, but sort of just the amount of fucking hate that's going around amongst the youth, like this reactionary sort of wave of hatred and bullshit, is starting to worry me.
I
mean, I always thought the
Duel.
internet was, yeah. I mean,
I think maybe Varg the Kearns was right. Maybe technology is bad.
No.
Oh god, no, are we suddenly anarcho-primitivists now?
shit, guys, we're using technology. We're using technology. Shit.
We don't have gulags.
Stop.
Going back to
We're anarcho-primitivists.
I was just gonna say,
now,
going
so
back
we
to
don't have
Gamergate.
gulags. We just have frozen lakes in the middle of winter. Don't
Such is life
don't
in
like
America.
being an Amprim? Well, you're gonna take a swim in Lake Siberia.
take the Entrim pill.
Oh, but they have to take a road that's developed from us walking along this part, like this little area in the thing. So we've built ourselves a road. We'll have to, you know, shut it all down.
Fuck. Shit.
Can't do it. We've invented the technology of roads.
I'll be right back, guys. 1 sec.
Stop using technology.
I was just gonna say, going back to the crusade that was Gamergate, seeing people with like
Oh god.
in some people's Twitter profiles, like I posted a meme about like Engelbert Dollfuss, who was the Austrian dictator until I think 1934. I can't remember what point it began, but anyway, he was like 4'11", which is really, really small. And that got around in a few communities, a lot of like leftist groups and whatnot. There was also like, I don't know if anyone is familiar with like the sort of reactionary Australian dingo Twitter, which is just disgusting.
Bingo.
But
Twitter,
seeing
oh
some
my
people
God.
seeing people with like hashtag Gamergate in their profile, just I thought like that was years ago. Like, have we not moved on from that? Are we still fighting the good fight? You know, what is this?
No. And he's Sarkeesian still destroying the West. The fight lives on. Join us.
If they take away the video games, the West is doomed.
The West is
I
already
like-
doomed.
All right. What about All right. But what about communism? You know, and the video games under communism. All right. Am I going to still have my Call of Duties?
Tetris is one of the top grossing games of all time, and it was developed under the Soviet Union.
Well, what do you know?
Well,
They finally, they really did win in the end.
They
well,
did.
The thing is about socialism and culture, right? Which capitalists don't seem to understand. It's like they misinterpret, you know, the abolishing of these sorts of market systems as a destruction of the market. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that private enterprise, in the terms of, you know, co-ops and groups of people collectively making something
good to distribute, it's still going to happen.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think-
markets aren't going to just cease to exist. Markets are merely a measure of supply and demand for a good. And it's only the capitalist aspect of it that determines who gets those goods and who doesn't. It has nothing to do with the actual like markets themselves are not an exclusively capitalist concept. Like you
Made
can
by Nat
still
Gang.
measure. Sorry.
Made by Nat Mute Gang.
But
no.
but again, it's like you can still measure and accurately predict what a socialist policy would have on a market, and what it would do is it would bring it closer to market equilibrium. There's been this huge conflation recently between the idea of a free market, like free of regulation, and a free market as in the market is in equilibrium. And what I actually learned from my time studying capitalist economics is that if you want to maintain market equilibrium as best as possible and ensure that everybody is getting the goods that they need, everybody is employed to fit the needs of society while also making sure people don't have to overwork or carry weight that isn't necessarily theirs. What you actually find is that socialist policy reforms are not actually aren't the bane of free markets. They aren't the bane of equilibrium. They're not the bane of an efficient capitalist economy. If anything, socialism is just capitalism extended even further, where I hesitate to say capitalism extended even further because that's not really the right way of putting it. But if we're talking in terms of market equilibrium, it's those socialist policies that allow people to express what the real supply and demand for goods would be within a nation, assuming that, people are able to have access to the goods that they need to survive.
Well, it could be. I would sort of look at it this way. I mean, if there was one way of doing things, I know it sounds a bit crazy, but one thing I would think about doing is sort of like, I suppose it sounds a bit weird considering it's a multinational company, but I suppose nationalize Steam. If you get what I mean. But no, I know that sounds crazy, but like if you nationalize and regulate the marketplace, and then allow it, and then removing the overheads, allow indie developers and massive corporations compete on an equal footing, which Steam as a platform has done already. Smaller units and even some gaming co-ops have actually generated good systemic business on Steam thanks to the platform they have.
That's a good point. However, I would disagree that it's allowed indie developers to level with larger.
No,
developers.
I don't mean even footing. I mean you can't
like
deny
in the
that
marketplace.
Steam as a platform has allowed smaller units to come out and start hitting, which they otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to. Like digital distribution is making the market a whole lot more competitive. I'm just saying that we need to remove the monopolies on the overheads and stuff like that they have. So the gaming industry under socialism, I don't think will deteriorate. In fact, I think the gaming industry under socialism might actually get better. Because it would free up a lot more people who would have better living conditions and better wages in terms of, how shall we say, under a socialist system, that would free up more time and more of their own personal resources to contribute to the community to actually invest in video game development. So I don't think that, because it's what we do in our spare time. If workers have more spare time and more material goods to spend, for lack of a better word, in that free time, then I think that the gaming industry will only get better.
So would you say that under a socialist system, Bethesda, right, democratically run, They choose their own work hours. Do you think they would actually have then the time to put into removing all of the fucking bugs they have in their games at launch?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, that's a bit. That's a
Bethesda's going to be Bethesda.
Bethesda without bugs. We're talking. That's some fully automated luxury game space communism stage. Like, that's.
All right, would there be less bugs though, since they don't have to
Oh,
rush the
yeah, there
product
would
out
be.
anymore? Yeah.
There would be, yeah, but
Well, yeah,
But
they
I-
could spend more time developing the game and making a finished product as opposing to just shoveling out whatever dog shit they happen to have when the deadline hit.
State-regulated video game updates.
Nationalized,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
nationalized Steam.
Well, as I said, I'm not. I'm talking of a theoretical point, as in more like making the marketplace more competitive. I mean, let's face it. I work under, of course, Marxist-Leninist theories of economies. That socialism and state capitalism, in the way that we're talking about it right now, is not talking about destroying the free market. It's more about protecting the average citizen from the predatory nature of the free market. The average citizen should have the same economic opportunities to make a contribution to this market instead of being stepped on all the fucking time. And that workers should have a better cut of the deal in terms of that. And that workers themselves should make the business decisions.
Careful,
Rather than
because you're drifting towards social democratic thought. Again,
yes.
when you talk about the free market, remember that like the free market, the free market itself has been so conflated in terminology
Exactly.
that you have to be really careful when using that term.
Yeah, but I'm using it in the context that you guys understand. It's more of a
Yeah.
case of that the problem with the market at the moment is it's anything but free. Corporations and plutocrats control the whole fucking thing.
Well, yeah, there's a total oligopoly on capital.
Exactly.
It's complete and utter. It is and it's like this in all markets. In a capitalist society where the resources are able to, I guess, concentrate into individuals or capital, I guess, is allowed to concentrate with individuals and in small groups. What you'll see is that there's oligopolies in capital do develop, which have an impact on the entire economy. It's not just one marketplace. I mean, you would see that the same results in any economy if a socialist system was implemented, where I guess again, the oligopoly on capital that prevents people from entering a market and participating in it as an individual, both in labor markets and in the markets of larger businesses, or I guess not markets relating to goods, not just labor. What you would see would be a huge decrease in, I guess, the limitations on people for being able to go out and potentially even start their own business. Now, obviously, they wouldn't be able to keep much of the capital from that personally, but what they would be doing is they would be allowing, I guess they wouldn't be allowing, but they would open up a market where it didn't exist before. There would be a price point at which you could serve a certain good, and more people would be willing to consume it. And the cool thing, I guess, about digital technology and digital games is there's no opportunity cost to downloading a video game aside from your disk space. So what ends up happening is, all of a sudden it's, you adopt a socialist system, and I'm not saying this would necessarily be the case, but if there are free games everywhere, like people are just gonna eat that shit right up, you know. Fully automated luxury gay gaming would be
I'm
a
fully down.
wonderful
The dream.
thing. Yeah, because
Perfection.
I think
for that reason, I think
Sorry,
it would
yeah.
become more of an artistic endeavor and not necessarily one where it's good that you purchase it. It would no longer be a market. It would be an art.
I just like to say, like on my own position, it's like I am a big believer in, you know, marching as quickly as the slowest person, and that's in a lot of ways, because that's basically what socialism is. We don't leave anyone behind. We don't forget people. Everybody is important under socialism. That's what I like. But more importantly, I think what really should be sort of at least in the market socialism stage of development, I think that with the large amount of content of games and stuff coming out and other products as well produced by co-ops, it really is sort of a case of meritocracy in a lot of ways. Like, people aren't going to buy a product unless they think it's good. But by opening up that market so everybody can participate, the good products will come to the forefront. Now, capitalists say they have a monopoly on this. They say, oh, you know, competition drives development. I'm like, sorry, you're full of shit. You're full of fucking shit.
You good, bud?
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at
Oh,
you.
man.
I'm not
I'm not too
laughing
late,
at
am I?
you.
We've got
No,
a
you're
special
not too
guest.
late. You're wrong
Oh
on
my
time.
God.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
The
so
man-
sorry, lads.
Legend.
I got off a chat with from Ego's son Jeffem, and basically,
Good God.
and basically the man tried to challenge me to a quote unquote debate with a bunch of Marxists from Debate Communism. Despite the fact that I already had a debate with these people and I already made my case that China wasn't socialist.
1v1
now
the
he-
IRL, bro.
Yeah, and then he basically said that, oh, dude, I could take all you anarchists on in a single live chat, despite the fact that he constantly gets blown the fuck out by anarchists and other Marxists as well. So, yeah, that was fun. He called me a cunt. So, yeah, I'm feeling great.
When you said you got challenged by him, I was really excited for like 20 paces, pistols at dawn, and then you said debate, and now I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I
I know.
say we turn it into
God damn
I
it.
say we turn it into a Yu-Gi-Oh battle.
No, you got to
I'm
debate
still-
so
mid
much of the
combat.
tolerant left.
I'm still of the
Debate
idea
mid
that we should-
combat. Get the blood flowing, you know.
Mhm.
Come
No,
on back.
seriously.
Go. You got to do it.
He has to do it. Yeah.
What,
still
do the
of the-
debate?
Yeah.
No, you
like-
got to do it mid combat. You got to debate it.
Oh, right,
mid-combat.
yeah. I got to debate him mid combat, like extreme logic. I got to get my my aerodynamic flows going.
Yeah, that's the way. Now you're getting it.
What kind of weapon
Inter-socialist
would you
tendency
use?
rap battles with
Mm.
with Australian characteristics. I mean,
I'm
seriously,
gonna tell you.
that
I'm gonna tell you
could
where
be
China isn't socialist from laying down these sick bars.
yeah, exactly. The size of the hospital system, that is.
So the reason I was laughing just before Batco came on was because of someone in the chat, pessimistic misanthrope, who said, "Can we talk about how eating ass is socialist?"
Well, as a matter of fact,
fuck
eating,
yes,
well,
we
it
can.
really, well, eating ass, I wouldn't necessarily say is, well, technically it is socialist, but only from a certain point of view. You see, I would actually argue that eating ass would more or less be akin to perhaps Marxist-Leninist forms of socialism, as it basically has one form, be it that of a state represented by the person who's eating the ass, providing aid to the ass, that being the working class. So basically, we are, in a sense, reaching a transitionary period in which the orgasm does build up to eventually that come moment leads us to begin within the more higher stages of communism, to which we can then move on to the next stage, which would then indeed be socialism. But however, this transitionary phase, in my opinion, is absolutely unnecessary, because I believe that the 69 position is actually a more libertarian form of socialism and provides mutual aid. Now,
Well, yeah, I was gonna
basically,
say, it's
if
mutual
we were able to basically provide mutual aid, that would mean that basically the entirety of class structure, if done from a horizontal position, of course, I'm not talking about the girl being on top of the guy, because hierarchies and so on. So it's got to be done from a horizontal position. And when we do it from a horizontal position, then the 69 could truly be a form of mutual aid. And then, of course, that will just help us reach full communism even further and reach
What about
to new higher stage levels of communism.
So 69
What about the
is
class?
praxis?
Yeah, well,
69 would
69 is
be,
inherent, yeah.
Wait. What if you're 69ing and one of you is like on top, but the person on top has class character and class consciousness?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, I was just sort of theorizing if that's the transitionary stage, what's fully automated luxury gay space communism? Is that like fuck machines, kind of like, or is that more? Or is
That's
that more like an
collectivized
orgy?
twinks, probably.
It's VR.
Yeah, collectivized twinks. Yeah, there we go. So do what?
Collectivized my booty daddy, Stalin.
Do we seize Milo when he reaches the border and just like,
Ew,
right,
no.
you're
Oh
nationalized?
God, no. Why would we
I don't
want
want
to?
that.
Milo is such an asshole that he probably wouldn't even give you a reach around.
Yeah, you actually, you're right. He wouldn't, would he?
What a dick.
He only gives reach arounds to black men.
What are the names given to Milo Yiannopoulos? Milo, fuck your feelings and your children, Yiannopoulos. Milo, what was the other one? ABC. It's easy as BBC. Yiannopoulos.
Well, I was sort of more going on twat face McFuckwit. That's been my
Has Milo done his big tour of Australia yet? Has he come and gone?
He's sold out. He's sold out.
He's still there. Oh,
Oh, my
God,
God.
where is he fucking doing it in Sydney, I wonder?
Where's
I don't
Tony
know.
Abbott when you need him? Where's Tony Abbott to send it back?
As I was saying, like,
Tony,
you
we
want
need you
Tony.
now more
the
than
votes, yeah.
at all.
Comrade Tony.
Yeah,
Ah,
fuck
fuck.
no.
If there's a bit of
Okay, now y'all know how I feel when I see Comrade Jeb memes.
Oh, dude, no. No, seriously, no. I'm collectivizing one.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Australian politics, there is a slight bit of news in that Senate President Stephen Parry is caught up in the citizenship scandal. He is number 8 of what used to be the 7 people shot down by Section 44.
The
So he's
Asian
contacted
shopping
the
Oh,
UK
shit,
to see if he's
guys.
Yep.
Guys,
Happening?
guess who's in the live chat?
Oh, is it the man?
It is the man.
Is it him?
It's him.
Oh my god, he's here!
He's finally here.
Fucking fuck
Oh,
off
and
that
there's
tweet
twist.
about the Senate
My
president.
twist.
The man of
No,
the
no,
hour
no. I
is
was
here.
talking more about Ego Some Jeffem, but like, okay.
Ooh. All right, Ego, some Jeffem, if you're listening to this, which you are, I'd like to say, like, I love you, man. I love you. You know, I look up. I have like a poster of you in my room. And I pray to you every night. I just
Yeah,
want.
I actually have a poster dedicated to Ego Sub Jeffem, and I just basically get a whip and I whip myself across the back for being the filthy little anarchist I am, and I basically just I basically go, oh Ego, oh punish me Ego, punish me, I'm a dirty little fascist anarchist, punish me Ego with your political and economic illiteracy, punish me.
Jeez, dude, I just put a
You keep
dildo on
talking
a
like
cardboard
that,
cutout of
Backo.
him.
You keep talking like that, Backo. I'm not even going to go recreational nuking. I'm going to go state-controlled nuking right on your body.
God damn it, Becca! I have to clean up now.
We have to, we have to fucking accelerate. This is the only way out of this
I
now.
like how this is
Accelerate.
titled. I love how this video is titled "Catalonia Independence Party."
Yeah, we're celebrating Catalonia independence by telling the audience how much we love Ego Some Jeffem.
Oh yeah,
Makes sense.
what if fucking Ego Some Jeffem said that really made me think? Oh, anarchists are the same as fascists.
No. I think it was
Oh,
anarchists
that's
can't be
fighting words.
anarchists. That's anarchists can't be anarchists. That really got my noggin jogging.
That is
Yes.
So
that is spooky.
Pogroms
That is-
in Ukraine, bro. The pogroms in Ukraine, all anarchists are fascists. Didn't you know?
So
Yeah, never mind the fact that the program had nothing to do with Nestor Makhno's Black Army, who basically went out and killed anti-Semites.
Well, you see-
Forget
You
that,
see-
man. No, that didn't happen.
No,
That's
Backo,
fake.
Backo, you don't understand. You guys, look, shut up, you stupid anarchists. You don't understand. You just You can't go pogroming if you're starving to death first. This is just the thing, isn't it?
Oh, and don't you know? Don't you know, you silly little? Don't you know, you silly little Anarchy? China is actually socialist.
Oh God!
I mean,
It says so in the name.
It's socialism with Chinese characteristics.
So,
You see,
guys,
you don't understand.
Who
man.
is Deng
all
Xiaoping?
the
I've never heard this name before.
For the audience members that don't know, and even though he's in the chat and he's watching right now, could someone, probably
I think he just
Batcho, because you're the most likely
Can
person to
handle
know
it.
enough about this. You're at the center of this.
Thank you.
Who is Ego Sumjeffem, and why are we building a cult of personality around him?
I'm
Ego
on your
Sumjeffem.
Twitter, brother.
Ego Sumjeffem is a very special man who holds a very special place in our hearts. You see, it
Look
all
back, man.
began a couple of months ago within a place called the Crossroads, and it was basically where we were talking about the Hungarian Revolution of 1956, or at least I believe that's what we were talking about. I believe Goulash was there.
They deserve
Basically, Ego
I hate you.
Ego Sumjeffem insisted that Imre Nagy was a fascist. Despite this being empirically wrong, we actually gave him citations that said that he was a Marxist who rallied against the dogmatic, static nature of Stalinism. Now, Ego Sumjeffem basically tried to give us links from the BBC to say, "Oh, dude, Nagy wasn't actually a Marxist," despite the evidence that contradicted the BBC's claims. One, and two, despite one of his other quotes, and I shit you not, basically said, he said, "We are no longer comrades," was an indicator to say that he himself was a fascist. Basically, after
Hungarians are turning the frogs gay.
yeah, after much debate and showing him that basically there were workers' councils within the Hungarian Revolution, as well as the fact that there was the Hungarian revolutionaries had no desire whatsoever to go back to communism. This was even done by a BBC report prior to the one that he had linked, so it was basically a primary source. He still proceeded to spurg out, and then he started to call Che Guevara a rapist, and used a liberal source to do so. So you can imagine our fun when he did that. Basically, we just got sick and tired of him, and then I had him banned from the server. But basically, then he started to pester me, and I thought, okay, will you promise to behave if you do so? And he said yes. I let him back in, and he continues to do his basically, now he says we've muted the stream. I've muted the stream. Okay, so basically good. He can't hear me say this. Hey, Ego, I fucked your mother last night. So anyway, moving right along. So Ego basically proceeded to cause a ruckus amongst a shit ton of other servers. I didn't ban him from any of them. He basically, his personality and his obnoxious political illiteracy was enough to get him out. He actually got himself kicked out of the Australian socialism server that I'm part of, which I'm basically kind of like, I got a bit of a mixed reception there. But basically everyone collectively hated Ego because of his political illiteracy and the fact that he categorized anarchists as fascists. So basically, this led to him actually being hated by a shit ton of other Marxist-Leninists from the Marxist-Leninist server, which he got kicked out of repeated times, but now he's back. He basically got kicked out of a Juche server. That's fun. Fucking Juche.
That's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
No, that is impressive. Yeah.
Got kicked out of the Greater Socialist server, the Socialist server, Lefty Pole, basically
we got banned from Lefty Pole as well. Jesus Christ.
the Discord, mind you.
Oh,
I'm still in my.
And pretty much, and he's pretty much gotten banked.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh, no, he said, I just wanted to talk to you guys. You don't want to talk to people. You just want to lecture them and say, "Oh, dude, you're all under control of the Batco effect. You're all Batcovites." You are a despicable.
Batcovites. Yeah, I can get used to that.
Yeah,
we're Batcovite now.
You like the word Batcovite? Yeah, and basically he basically says that we're all under control of the Batco effect. Now the Batco effect, basically, he believes that due to me having a charisma points of over 100 gorillion, that I'm able to convince other Marxists to become Batkovice and attack him. And he basically accuses me of attacking MLs, despite him, and I shit you not, sending me death threats of him basically wanting to kill anarchists. And basically,
I believe in left unity. Here's my proof. I hate you all.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, thanks, man. That's good.
No,
So,
no,
but the hottest take,
But
the hottest take which I saw, and it remains my hottest take, which I have screen capped because it is just so beautiful. It just encompasses the absolute retardation of Ego Sum Jeffem, and it's beautiful to say, is that he actually said that Stalin was a better socialist than Karl Marx.
Oh,
I don't think that's how. That's not how.
no,
I have
no,
cancer now.
Man,
I know,
that's
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Seriously,
That-
no. Backho, I will give Backho credit. He is the first one that convinced me that perhaps we shouldn't put anarchists to the wall because they've got some really good hot takes. But no, in all seriousness, I'm a left unity guy as well. But no, but what I was talking about Goulash before is like I actually the BBC about Hungary, like I actually have a historical record of what happened in Hungary on my phone here at the moment, and it's really quite interesting. It's more like, you know, Hungary sort of goes like, guys, you know, maybe shooting everybody who disagrees with this isn't a good idea, and maybe workers should own the means of production. And this sort of happened. And then we have diesel engines.
wow, I
everywhere.
love the sound of T-34s.
Force everywhere.
Ego
dude.
just commented in
man,
the
I-
chat.
Ego just said, guys, get this. Ego said, Stalin put socialism in action, Marx didn't. Should we just completely forget about the Paris Commune?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it?
Jesus Christ.
Oh fuck
Look, may I have socialism in my country without party corruption? Did someone say no party corruption?
I mean, really liking that socialism that was put into practice, Ego, despite the fact that the state still robbed workers of their surplus and still paid them, basically making them porkies and state capitalists. Really feeling that socialism, dude.
No, you don't understand, Backo, right? They got to vote, so therefore they own the state, and therefore they own the means of production.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Because that's how it always works in democratic states. When you vote, you have the power. That's how it works. It's like
I mean,
you
the last
vote on
election,
something.
like if I remember correctly, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think the last proper election for the Soviet was like what? Like while Lenin was still alive. Like the moment Lenin died, they sort of put a halt on everything, and then Stalin ever so conveniently forgot to restart it.
Ever
whoops.
so conveniently.
Yeah, but you know, everyone's like, you know, I'm not gonna say I am a trot deep down, I suppose. So I dodge ice picks on a daily basis.
You know, I
But
used to have my qualms with Trots, but I realized that I do not necessarily hate Trotskyists. I just hate Trotsky, and I've been projecting my hatred of Trotsky onto the Trotskyists.
No, actually, it's true. It's true because
and I
like,
feel really bad about it.
No,
Because
Backo, quite honestly, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like the same with Stalin and his philosophy. Trotsky's writings and his philosophies, like if you look at how they've been, you know, applied, like you look at it and his arguments make sense, but the man himself was a complete cunt. That's pretty much it. Like internationalism as socialism is sort of like a cornerstone. You can't really separate the two. Like, and I think Trotsky was proven right in saying that, you know, unless the whole world becomes socialist, or at least enough of us are socialist, the capitalists are just going to turn around and crush us, and that's what they've done. But more to the point, it's like resist is that, you know, with anarchists and stuff, like, you know, yeah, anarchism is kind of like I think we all sort of have this common agreement that, you know, we got to all come together to stop these guys. I mean, really, I mean, the only problem is it comes with the end of it. Like, what happens after we've actually won? What's going to happen to the anarchists and what's going to happen to the tankies and stuff? Let's be honest, the tankies are probably just going to they're going to be like, you know, the Catholic Church. They're just going to build this massive monolithic state off somewhere in Siberia. And there's going to be huge fucking...
Nobody expects the tanky Inquisition.
Oh,
Exactly.
Dude,
We'll see us coming.
I do.
All right, lads.
Hey,
lads.
guys,
I hate to cut you all off. but I have to go.
Okay, see you
and I
later,
just
man.
want to say goodbye. I told my girl I'd get back to her like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, you go do that, man.
Toodaloo, my man.
Bye.
Catch
See
you
you.
later, Bob.
Later,
Thanks
brother.
for coming on. Good to have you.
Like GF.
Adios.
Hey guys. Okay, so basically, this is a hot take from comments because we now have Ego Sum Jeffem live. So let's delve into the mind of this special human being. So tell me, Ego, how is anarchism kinda like fascism?
Last time I checked, they were very different.
Yeah, me too. I'll
Wanting a corporatist ethno state versus not wanting a state. These
Redefining
two are
terms. I think-
literally the same.
Yeah. How are we redefining terms, Ego? Tell you what, do you actually think we should actually allow? Should we invite him in onto the Google chat?
I don't know, man.
bring you
I
on in.
just-
Let's do this.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to take his.
No, I think
I'm not sure if I can handle
we're
it.
ready. I think we're ready. Let's invite him in.
Spooks, you've gone Sterninator again.
No,
For
seriously.
fuck's sake.
I am.
Hey,
I'm
tell you
the
what,
old. I'm positive.
dang, I
that
can't,
I'm going
No,
full
dude, can
international.
anyone hear me?
Yeah, okay, there you go, brother.
Oh, hey, fam.
Welcome, Kane. Thanks for coming on.
So I had a couple of pretty spicy hot takes. I mean, dude.
We're on
Like,
the fucking next level here.
I mean, that is. Oof. I mean, I'm just going
Alright.
to think about it.
So we're gonna
Nice,
get
I'm not thinking about
the
it.
man
That's the
we've
way.
been talking about, Ego Sum Jeffem, onto the hangout, just as we get back up from Kane and Batco himself. But Jesus
Well, you
Christ.
see, I would call myself I suppose, is there like a possibility like anarcho positivism could be a thing? I might become one just for the sake.
Hell
of it.
yeah.
No, seriously. But I'm afraid that it'd make me like an ANCAP because I'd still be recreationally nuking things.
Mate,
Yeah,
no,
no, but you only do
dude,
it once.
recreation-
It's-
I don't know, but you
No,
recreational
recreational nuke,
nuke people on behalf
It's a freedom.
of the of
Oh,
the
he's
working
here,
class.
boys. He's here, boys.
Here, here. Oh shit!
You
Oh,
see
he's
it?
on fucking mute.
And he's on mute.
Unmute yourself.
Is that
Like,
Jeff?
there's no shame in
Oh,
recreational
fucking
nukes. I
God.
mean, they're a symbol of liberty that we know it as.
Now, how
Oh,
about
let's
nuclear
take it one
co-ops?
person at a time, please.
So anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Ego Sum Jeffem. So tell me, Ego, how is
Oh, this is going to go well, doesn't it?
so tell me,
Rest in
Ego,
peace, headphone users.
how is anarchism like fascism?
Give him some time.
That silence, it's great.
He's gotta give him some time, boys. He's gotta give him some time.
Oh,
He's
there's
thinking
gonna
of
be
this.
some-
Oh, he's on mute.
Ego.api is buffering.
Oh, he's on mute.
EastGermany.exe
Germany.exe
has stopped working.
Oh, dear.
Initiate
Ego, you basically, for all your talk of me being a coward when it comes to not wanting to do debates, I've actually basically decided that I want to do a debate with you right now, and the best thing you could do is put yourself on mute and not listen.
I have
Ego,
to rename
I'm high as
this
fuck
live
right now.
stream.
Just do it right
It's-
now. I believe anything you said.
No,
I have to
Gulash,
rename
know,
this
it's-
stream from Catalonia Independence Party to Batco rips Ego a new asshole.
No,
Pretty
Gulash,
much.
like you were saying, EastGermany.exe. Like he needs to contact the US government and buildwall.exe. We need to get it on this
Well,
shit.
basically, let me actually. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why anarchism is not like fascism. Anarchism believes in the decentralized control of the working class, basically having the workers control the means of production. They are not built on any ideology based on nationalism or corporatism. They pretty much want to eliminate wage labor. They want to stop the alienation of people being alienated from their labor, and they engage in mutual aid. To say that basically anarchism is like fascism is also completely a blatant false lie, considering the fact that fascism is basically highly corporatist, it's highly nationalist, whereas anarchism is highly worker orientated, with workers controlling the means of production, be it through like a syndicate, a council, a commune, and so on. And whereas basically fascism states that the means of production should be owned by vague terms such as the quote-unquote Volk, or the state in some cases, or massive corporations. And it is a highly centralized form of control. If you
Basically,
believe...
we're just making shit.
All I'm seeing over here is a sort
No,
of
you
like
can't
a
type. No, Ego. You can't type. You can't type. You speak. No, fuck
Use your
you.
big boy words.
I'm gonna have
Use
to
your big
step
boy
in
words,
here
buddy.
and say ego.
Dude, Ego, we know that your mic works.
If,
Come on, use your big boy words.
if you would like to be on the live stream and have a say, it would be best if you could get your either get your audio working or let us know if it isn't working.
His audio works.
You
I've heard
know the
I've heard
meme where
I've
it's
heard the fucker breathe on Discord. I know that his audio works.
you know the meme where it's Sterner and it's like the Red Sea and it says this is me dividing the land. Basically,
What are you going to do? Cry to your comrade?
instead of Sterner, can someone please just get like a screenshot of I'll do it right now. Just
No,
a
guys,
screenshot
I
of
would
this
just like
video.
to say here, Batco, in defense of the Marxist-Leninist group, which I am, I suppose, a member of by extension, at least our death squad's are state-owned, asshole.
Oh,
Sick roast.
damn
Yeah,
on him.
man, like seriously, your Anarchy Death Squad's a small time. Ours are state-owned and collectivized.
Yeah, but at least we don't go and kill as many as more people than you lot do. You guys just go full regalia and just take a couple of extra fuckers on you. And I will admit, in terms of
left unity. It gets me
I-
hard.
I-
This is
I-
killing boner.
in terms, no, I'm about to compliment this man. Because in terms of instilling fear in the hearts of fascists and revisionists, you guys do a pretty good job.
Oh no, he can type now.
No shit, son. Back the fuck up.
Where is
no,
it typing?
I'm a Marxist
Back the fuck up.
Leninist
He
with
can
positive
type.
tendencies. I will start the fire. The fire is not only rising.
The
it's
fire
getting
rises.
worse.
The fire.
I'm gonna divide the left right here and right now.
Calm
You're gonna have
yourself,
to divide
Doctor.
the
Now's not the time for recreational nukes. That comes
It is
later.
always the time for nukes, just not recreational. They must have a purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was collectivizing the nukes part of your master plan?
It was always part of my plan, comrade. It was my plan from the
Of course, Mr. Dapperton refused our offer in favor of yours. We have to find out what you want.
Right, guys, have you seen that esoteric entity one about the recreational nukes?
Oh
Oh yeah, that was
The
an
case for
absolute highlight.
privatized nukes. Oh, what
Okay, so prioritize nukes. Oh, that was a cracker of a video.
You think you were molded by thermonuclear war? I was born in it. Shaped by
molded by it.
I have become it. We're going to accelerate the dialectic all the fucking way. This train has no fucking
Accelerate.
brakes.
Fam, I just wanted free healthcare.
I just wanted
Okay,
free dental care, mate. I just wanted free
So
dental care.
it is very clear at this point that Ego's mic is working fine, but since he, as in Batco's words, he's just a coward, but in my words, he's refusing to participate in the live stream. I'm gonna have to take him off the stream.
Wait, before you ask him to
unfortunately.
leave, though, just challenge him this. If he doesn't say anything, he's a cuck.
Well,
Boom. There you go.
Welcome to
you want to
Australia's
say anything?
I suggest. Wait, hold on.
I'll give him
I
10
suggest you-
seconds.
I
I'll give him
suggest you
10 seconds
read
to say
Anarchism
something.
or Socialism by
I'll give him
Stalin.
10 I'll give him 10 seconds. If he doesn't, I'll give him 10 seconds. If he doesn't say anything, he is a cuck. And then you can kick him off. Okay, counting down.
You're a
10,
class
9,
9.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Oh,
1.
and he's a
Oh,
cuck.
He's a cuck.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Australia.
Stay
Dis-
blown the fuck out, Ego. Do not
Kick
challenge
him.
me again.
despite everything that was said, I still want to thank him for at least coming on and trying to participate. And now that that's over, thank God that's over.
Go ahead, comrades.
No,
We
no,
haven't given up
as they
participation
say with Larry, we should get Larry Emder on the show. Name that gulag, ladies and gentlemen, because that man just went into it. Now,
So,
it's your turn.
guys, I've actually got invited. Like a friend of mine at university, he came out as a national socialist, but without the racial politics deal, and he has a podcast, and he's invited me on that. Like, I
Oh
don't-
fuck! Oh, can we all go?
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Back
I'm
between streams.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
record
know like that. Did somebody say camps? I am prepared. I have all my
Oh
equipment.
God! Look at, oh, Ego's still here. This is censorship of the proletariat.
Oh, may
What is-
God spare this man, for he has not spared my sides.
All right, guys.
Nico, if
I
you
think
didn't
we're at
want to
about,
be, if you didn't want to be quote unquote censored, you should have said something. I mean.
So now you're censored and you're a cuck.
Oh yeah. So hang on a
Can't,
second.
can't be
Guys,
sensitive if you don't say anything.
Yeah, you can't be censored. You don't say anything.
All right, guys. We're at about 120 minutes on this.
Oh, come on. The stakes are just getting hotter and hotter.
It's just banter.
so
I
I love people until they're gay.
so I think we're gonna have to cap it off at this point. So I just want to say
Hey, Backhoe,
thank
come
you
hang
to
on the
everyone.
Discord. We'll get all the boys
Yeah.
together on Discord.
We're gonna be hanging out on
the boys.
Marshlands Discord. So if you're there and not banned, you can join in. So I just want to thank Spooks and Shit, Goulash Guy, Possidist, Pac-Man, Batco, Bob who was on, and Kane who joined in as well. So thank you all for coming on.
No,
And a
look,
very
he's
special thanks. And a very special thanks to
Guys,
Ego Some Jeff. A round of applause.
Yeah, round of applause, that guy. Yeah.
Oh, no, he's gone again.
So if you want to catch up next week on the live stream, smash that like button and subscribe. And if you want more updates on Eastern Marshlands content, you can go to our website, easternmarshlands.com. So I hope to see you all next week.
All right, boys.
See you then.
See you next
All right.
week.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
see ya.
See you, boys.
All right.
Yeet.
That's
To
it.
the Discord.